So my producer, Brandon Hill, will let me know when it's ready, right?
You're all clear, Brother Collins.
My director, Tim Smith, will let me know when I can get started, correct?
Yes, sir. You ready? You ready?
I'm ready to go.
Let me check Facebook Live and we'll go ahead. We're live.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Straight Talk No Chaser, hosted by Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. My name is Harold Collins, and we have a wonderful opportunity this evening to discuss some important events that are going on in our community, hosted by the fraternity. I have a wonderful panel tonight. And so I want to introduce my fraternity brothers, Brother Kelvin Hart, Brother Dr. Dwayne Scott, and Brother County Commissioner Eddie Jones. Welcome to the show. Brother Hart, why don't you start by introducing yourself? Tell us what you do with Shelby County Schools and anything else you might want to add for our viewing and listening audience.
Yes, sir, Brother Collins. My name is Kelvin Hart. I work for Shelby County Schools as a senior advisor, work in the Office of Student Equity, Enrollment, and Discipline. And so glad to be part of the panel this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. Brother Scott, Brother Dr. Scott, excuse me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I work in the Family and Community Engagement Department. And my specific role on a daily basis, we try to identify companies, organizations, individuals who want to partner with Shelby County Schools. And that partnership could look in one of several ways. One, it could be an adoptive school situation, or it could be a district partnership with our office where you work with us directly in helping us carry out the district initiative. So that's the work that we do on a daily basis and enjoy doing it. I've been a member of the fraternity for a very long time, active at every level, have served from a local, regional, and national level.
Good deal. And let me take a personal privilege to congratulate Honorable Brother Dr. Dwayne Scott. Brother Scott was inducted into the highest order of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, which is the National Distinguished Chapter. And so we are very happy and proud of Brother Dr. Scott and his accomplishments. And I might add that our chapter in Memphis might have the most distinguished service chapter members. I think we have a total of 5 in our chapter. And so all across the country, and since 1914, Phi Beta Sigma has, I think, inducted maybe 210. What's your number, Brother Scott?
I'm 197. It's exactly 200 after this conclave.
So Phi Beta Sigma has only inducted 200 men in its entire history into the fraternity's National Distinguished Service Chapter. And we have 5 of those members. And I can tell you a great majority of those members are not living. And so to have 5 in one chapter speaks volumes to the caliber of men that we have in our community, but also the caliber of chapter and leadership we have in our city. I'll give a shout out to our brother president in a second. Brother Commissioner Eddie Jones, will you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, my good brothers from Phi Beta Sigma. Always glad to be in your company. I'm Eddie Jones. I am a Shelby County Commissioner. I also work for the city of Memphis, so I work in both governments. And I'm a supervisor in code enforcement. Been a member of Phi Beta Sigma for I'm like Brother Scott, a very long time, and have always been supportive. Yeah, I ain't trying to tell my age. I always been supportive. And I figured that
We know you old, brother. No. We know you old.
Look, I'm just trying to stay in tune with everybody else on the call. And so, absolutely. So I've been a commissioner since 2014. My district is District 11. I take up 5 communities: Whitehaven, Oak Haven, Fox Meadows, Parkway Village, and Hickory Hill. A little bit more about me and all of what I do. I am big and deep in the community, always doing things to help those that are in need. That is my mantra. That's me. That's who I am. That's what I love to do. And so not only that, so also this past July, Brother Collins, I was elected as the National Association of Black County Elected Officials. I'm the president of that organization. So when I tell you that I'm quite busy, I'm quite busy. And so that's pretty much what I do. I deal with the business of county government. I deal with the business of city government. And I'm just here to provide that service that the people in this community need.
Thank you, Brother Jones. We are so proud of you and your accomplishments and your service to the citizens in your district and Shelby County. And we look forward to whatever God has planned for you in the next phase. And so we'll be plumb pleased and happy to hear it whenever that time comes. And congratulations to you on being the president of the National Black County Officials. So we thank you for your service. Brothers, it's been a whirlwind in the last 24 hours in Memphis. And I know we're here to talk about the African American Image Awards first, but we do want to mention that Memphis lost a great person on yesterday, and we'll talk about that later on in our program. Let me also say to you all who are listening and viewing, we are live on Facebook. And if you have any comments or questions, please go to our Facebook chatter and send a question, or you can put it in the chat on this stream and we will get to your question either to Brother Hart or Brother Dr. Scott. I'm sorry, Honorable Brother Dr. Scott and Brother Commissioner Jones. Let's start with the African American Image Awards. And Brother Dr. Scott, you've been a chair now, I think, since our honorable brother, past president, Michael Crystal left some 20, 15 years ago, right?
Sorry about that. It's been a while. And so it's something.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a joy. It's a lot of work, but it's been a joy.
Talk to our viewing audience about the Image Awards. How long have we been doing this Image Awards and those kinds, and some of the history of it, okay?
We've been doing the African American Image Awards. This will mark our 27th year. This will be the first year that we are in person as we are coming out of speaking into existence this pandemic. And so we have honored men who contribute to the community in a way of their service, in a way of making a positive impact. We honor those who are in 6 specific areas: religion, business, corporate, education, and community service. And so we are certainly excited about our brother Eddie Jones being an honoree this year. We'll also be doing something a little different this year. We'll be doing our Service for Humanity Award. We typically will give that away to an individual that has made contributions to our community over a period of time. And we were doing Project Sigma making an impact on the Memphis area. which will be going to the Odell Harris family in honor of our late brother Odell Harris, who passed away this summer in late July, early August. And so we'll be honoring him. And so we've honored over more than 100 men throughout the Memphis community. And these are individuals who have made a significant impact on our community just by being who they are, being influencers. So it's a great, great accomplishment. One of the things that we often see on the news, but we don't see enough of, we see all of the negative aspects frequently with some of our individuals of color are involved in, but we never on a routine basis highlight the good works. And so this is part of a national initiative that the fraternity used to do some years ago, honoring individuals from across the country who portrayed the image of culture for service and service for humanity. And so we essentially adapted that for the Tau Iota Sigma Chapter. And it is a celebration. It is an opportunity for people to dress up and come out and eat some chicken and just fellowship and have a good time. And so, but we're looking forward.
Bro Scott, excuse me. So you're giving away what the menu is already?
Well, it'll be a surprise.
Okay.
Be a surprise. You'll be pleased. Let's say that. You'll be pleased.
Thank you. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I don't want folks to know they come and tell me. Speaking of, where would the Image Awards banquet be? And if I wanted to get a ticket, can I get a ticket?
The Image Awards is going to be at the University of Memphis Holiday Inn starting at 5 o'clock. And unfortunately, this year, and fortunately, we have no seats available at this point in time. We could not put another table in that facility. One of the things we did this year, being respective and having an understanding of this COVID environment, normally we would seat 10 to a table, we're seating 6 to a table. And so for the space that we're right at 40 tables. And that is all they can afford, all the space that they can put in that particular facility. So we're looking forward to it. It will be a great time, a great celebration. So, but what you can do if you're interested in donating to the Hobson Goodloe Foundation, we'll accept a donation.
So let me ask you this: with and we're thanking God for us to be trending down in our COVID cases in Shelby County. We appreciate your hard work, Commissioner Jones, on that. But will the awards banquet be looking for COVID vaccinations from the attendees, or how would that work out? No, sir. The COVID policy of the Holiday Inn is that you will have to wear your mask into the facility. And then you're free, similar to what you would find in a restaurant. You're free to take off your mask as you're eating and drinking within the facility. But the only requirement is that you will have to wear your mask into the facility. And then, of course, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I said, so of course, if you feel, at any point in time, if you want to leave your mask on or put it on the mask, we certainly encourage you to do so. Okay, good deal. And so you talked about the Hobson Goodloe Foundation. Explain to our viewers what the Hobson Goodloe Foundation is and why was it named the Hobson Goodloe Foundation? The Hobson Goodloe Foundation was named after 2 of our educators. The primary focus of Hobson Goodloe, what we do 365, 24 hours a day, is that we support education. A part of that is making sure we adopt specific schools and provide services to those schools. Right now, our main school that we support is Robert R. Church. We do support others, but we opened up a bookstore in that school that's named after Phi Beta Sigma.
We also work with them to provide resources and wraparound services for those young folks in terms of winter coats, in terms of school supplies. We provide a clothing closet for those individuals as well. But really, it's the educational arm of the fraternity. It was developed and adopted to be the educational arm of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, Tau Iota Sigma Chapter.
Good deal. Thank you. And so I know that you don't do this alone. I know that there is a co-chair with you that serves in that role. And so let's give a shout out to Brother George Hilliard,
Absolutely.
who I think might be attending this virtual session. And we want to thank both of you for your leadership to Hobson Goodloe. Brother Hart, let me go to you and ask you what we consider to be, as Brother Dr. Scott talked about, education. Talk to our viewers about the education program and process of the Hobson Goodloe Foundation and the Image Awards and those kinds of things of awarding scholarships.
Okay, one of the things that we have, and Brother Scott mentioned about the Hobson Goodloe, so we have every year we not only honor honorable men of Memphis who are doing remarkable things in their different organizations and different areas in Memphis, but we also give scholarships to deserving young male students. And so we go out and we send out applications throughout Shelby County and throughout the metropolitan schools, municipal schools, and we seek out applicants for the Phi Beta Sigma Hobson Goodloe Scholarship. Now, some of the requirements are they have to have the minimum of an ACT score of a 19, a grade point average of a 3.0, and they have to be male high school seniors. And so from our selection, and we usually select 10, and we interview the best 5 of that 10. So this year, we have 2 individuals from Bolton High School, 2 individuals from Whitehaven High School, and 1 individual from Bartlett High School. We was very pleased when we interviewed them. We found out that they had grade point average that ranges from a 3.7 to a 4.1. We had ACT scores that range from 20 to 30. And so I think the public and the brethren would be pleased with our selection of these 5 young men who are earning these scholarships from Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. I know that, and let me gloat now, I know that there are other Greeks that may be listening and other Divine Nine, but you know, Phi Beta Sigma is the only group of a fraternity that I know that every year makes an effort to give back, and honor brotherhood scholarship and service. And we intentionally give back money back to our communities. And not only we give them a space where they can meet these gentlemen, because they never know how that first exposure to a man or a man in religion or business world, they could, you know, have the opportunity to later on in life pull them up or assist them. We have a lot of brothers who have received scholarships. Well, we have a lot of high school candidates who have received scholarship money from Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, became a brother, and then a brother was able to help them and pull them along the way. So that is all. I want to say that over the years, and Brother Scott talked about, we've been doing this for 27 years. We have given over $120,000 to African American men who have interest to going off to college. And not only we don't only do that. When we find young men who are part of our Sigma Beta Club and they're in need of things like financial help or even clothing, we support them as a brotherhood by giving them suits and shirts and ties and putting a little money in their pocket so they would not have to work as hard as some of we did while we was on campus.
You trying to tell everybody the story, Brother Hart, when you talk about when we were in school. I wish I had the Image Awards and applied and working work study, eating those ramen noodles and all those baked potatoes and stuff. So I hear what you're saying, but I do want those guys to get that same experience too, so they'll know the struggle. So when they get out and get their college degree, they will appreciate it more. Talk to me about who can apply for these scholarships.
So only male high school students can apply for this scholarship. Okay. And we never made, I thought we were going to get some different applicants, but our qualifications only male high school students who have plans and aspiration to go to college or university.
So they have to have aspirations to attend college, and is there a specific GPA, grade point average, that the high school seniors must have in order to apply, or is there a cutoff or a minimum requirement?
Yes, sir. And so the minimum requirement for a high school grade point average is a 3.0, and the minimum requirement for ACT score is a 19. Like I stated before, our selection of young men ranged from 20 to 30 on the ACT, and they have a range of 3.7 to a 4.1 as a grade point average. So very proud of these group of young men.
Good deal. And I know, Brother Hart, you have a committee, and so if you want to take a moment to recognize your committee for going through all those applications and selecting these winners, we give you the time to do that if you'd like to.
Yeah, Brother Walter Banks, Brother Reese, Brother Bodie, Reese Walker, Brother Bodie, Brother Ed Jordan, Raymond and Vassar. Let's see if I'm missing one.
Good deal. Good deal.
I think that's
I know all those good brothers.
Yes, sir.
I know all those good brothers. They are all educators or former educators in Memphis and Shelby County Schools.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal.
Sam Henderson, that's what I was making.
Yeah, Brother Sam Henderson, absolutely. Yes, over at Melrose, I think.
At Melrose.
Well, good deal. Good deal. Now, Brother Eddie Jones, your name has been called as one of our 2021 African American Male Image Awards recipient in the field of community service. Tell us how does that make you feel being recognized by one of your fraternity, and what do you think that means for others going forward?
Thank you, Brother Collins, for that question. It is very humbling to me to be honored by my own fraternity. So humbling, it touches me right here in my heart, because all of the acts that I've done and given for service to the community was strictly from the heart, and humbling to the point of not even being recognized for it, because I did it from my heart. I didn't look for to be honored for doing something that needed to be done, and basically a part of the fraternity that I serve, Culture for Service and Service for Humanity. So all of that wrapped into this, and to be honored by that very group that I'm a member of, is really heartfelt for me. And you know, at some point, you know, generally I'm not at a loss for words. Now I could talk all day, but when something like that touches your heart because of a commitment of service, I'm just truly honored that I'm one of the honorees this year. And there are a lot of other honorees that are deserving that have been selected. And so for many years, coming to the Hobson Goodloe annual annual honoring people for different events, you know, faith-based, community, all of those areas that we have given those awards out throughout the years. And, you know, we all have sat through that. And now for me to be sitting there this year in 2021 and being honored, it is truly a blessing. And to the committee that made the selection, I'm grateful and thankful from my heart for it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Brother Scott, Brother Jones alluded to the other honorees. If you don't mind, will you share with our viewers tonight who the fraternity, or in this case, Hobson Goodloe, will be honoring at the Image Awards on a sold out 27th annual African American Male Image Awards banquet?
Yeah, in arts, in the area of arts, Mr. Mark Russell, who is the editor of the Commercial Appeal. For religion, Dr. Reverend J. Lawrence Turner from, I forgot, tell me.
Mississippi Boulevard.
Mississippi Boulevard, it's on the tip of my tongue, Mississippi Boulevard, I'm sorry.
Let me help you out. Let me help you out.
I'm sorry.
No chaser, no chaser, no chaser.
And we're honoring our brother Eddie Jones for community service in education, Vincent McCaskill, who is the CEO for School C, who is also a member of Phi Beta Sigma. In corporate area, we're honoring Judge Joe Day Jenkins, who is a member of Phi Beta Sigma. For business, Mr. Charles Barnes, who's been a long time Memphian and has owned a number of businesses in this city. Our Service for Humanity Award is going to our own brother James Hawkins. And then I've already shared with you for Project Sigma, which is something we don't do on a regular basis, will be the late Odell Harris. Our speaker will be Mr. JT Young from Memphis Light, Gas and Water, the CEO. And so it's going to be a great evening, great individuals. Miss Ina Esco is going to serve as our mistress of ceremony. She's a local radio personality. And so we look forward to having a great time.
That's good. That sounds like a filet mignon kind of event. Yeah, that's what that sounds like. Okay, good deal, good deal. Gentlemen, I want to pivot just for a quick moment and talk about, and since we got Commissioner Jones here, something that I know he knows very well, and that's we got elections coming up in the next couple of months. As a matter of fact, I think people can start pulling petitions for elected offices. And let me be very clear, Phi Beta Sigma, as an international organization, 501c3, cannot publicly endorse individuals. However, our Sigma Pact 1914 can. And so we want to make sure that a part of our responsibility as responsible men is to get involved in our community, not just through education and service, but also through our vote. And so let's talk about what Brother Jones might be interested in going into the future. He's been elected to the county commission. How many years now, Brother Jones, you served on the county commission?
This would be 7 years for me right now. So,
and talk to us about what's coming up in these next elections, and that the fraternity, through its service for humanity initiatives, can get involved in.
well, one of the things that I think that we can do and should do, and that is to get the vote out, to get people out to vote. I don't think that enough of our citizens take our local elections as seriously as they do when it comes to a federal election. But what they must understand is this: even if you don't win at the federal level, you can win right here at home at the local level. And that's why it's very important to get the vote out in local elections, because then you can determine what happens locally, because federal legislation is pretty much across the board with all states, but you have different local issues, and who you decide to put in office can help the community in their decision-making process of what's best for the community. But when we fail to do that, you end up with whatever you end up with. And so I think one of the biggest things that we can do is to really pump it up to get out the vote. We did it this past election cycle on the federal level, and all of the Divine Nine came together, got out, and got the votes out. And I think we need to do the same right here in Memphis and Shelby County.
So, Brother Jones, tell us what elections are coming up that we need to be. Is it a city election or a county election, or what's coming up that we need to be aware of?
So yes, it's going to be a county election, but you're also going to get your school board commissioners, your county commissioners, your judges. All of that will be coming up in May. That's when the primary election is. And so you have all of these positions that are going to be on the board. There's been a lot of talk in the community about criminal justice reform, all of that. So you got your judges, you got that we will be looking at. And so all of these areas, your county commissioners, we've just done our redistricting. So you need to, if you're interested in running, you need to go out and see if you live in a particular district, because they have been, the lines have been redrawn. And so you have this opportunity to put the people in office to really, really relate to what it is that the people want to see. But if we don't go to the polls and we don't do that, then we get what we get. And so judges, commissioners, school board commissioners, all the county seats will be on the ballot, with the exception of the general sessions court clerk. That election will come up in 2024. But every other county seat, your registers, your trustees, all of your clerks, juvenile court clerk, criminal court clerk. So with all of the issues that the community has been crying out about and concerns, and evaluate those that are in, you want to keep them, you got to go to the polls to keep them. If you want to move them, if they're running for something else and they've done good work, I can't tell you who to vote for, but what I would love to tell you, go vote. You gotta vote. And when we don't vote, then we're our own worst enemy.
So, Brother Jones, are you running for re-election?
Well, I can't run for re-election because I am term limited. So this would be my second term. And so at this point, I've looked at a couple of seats that I may want to run. I've put together an exploratory group. And there's several of the clerk seats that I'm looking at. But one that probably where my strongest field is for is with dealing with the children. That has always been my passion. I did that even before I was elected. And I still have a drive in me to be able to help our children to stay on the right path, or once they've taken that wrong path, how to put them back on the right path and keep them off of that revolving door that keeps them running backwards and forwards into the justice system.
Okay, good deal. So with that and with the children, I guess if whenever you decide, let us know and we get back to the bring you back on Straight Talk and see if you're ready to tell us what you would like to pursue. And I'm sure that this group of men will be supportive and trying to figure out how to make that happen.
Absolutely, and it'd be greatly appreciated. Like I said, that's where my heart is. That's where it's always been. And I do all of this because somebody did that for me when I was a young man. So for me to be able to pay that forward and be in a position to help them, I'm all up for that.
Good deal. Well, thank you. Thank you. We'll appreciate that. I want to talk about what has gone on in Memphis for the last, I don't want to say 24 hours, but it's been shocking, the 24 hours. But it's been, from my vantage point, an increase not only just this year, but last year as well. And that's our homicide rate in our community. We're seeing more and more African-American men being killed in our community. I think this year our homicide numbers are maybe at 290 or a little bit below, which is on pace for another record. And so yesterday, Memphis lost another one of its favorite sons, even though by transplant, he was literally born in Chicago, but raised here in Memphis and Shelby County. Adolph Thornton Jr., we know him as, or the young folk know him as Young Dolph? Young Dolph. And so how horrific was that scene on yesterday for me to see an 11-year-old boy crying, in distress, one, and in fear, two, the fact that one of his idols or persons that he looked up to was killed in broad daylight, as they would say, in one of our favorite businesses, Makita's Cookies. And for you, Dr. Scott, and for you, Brother Hart, who work for Shelby County Schools, I'm sure that scene played out in your minds as you talked to some of your students across the district. Talk to me about what was that like today at work for you, one, as an professional educator, and then two, having to speak perhaps to some of the students of Shelby County Schools today. Brother Hart, I'm gonna start with you with that.
Well, in my office, the Student Equity Enrollment and Discipline, with the office I work in, I'm working on this on the district level in the central office, so therefore I'm not necessarily in the schools, and so I'm not on the ground as I would be if I was in a physical building. But however, when we talk about our district transition into getting to know the whole child, and when we talk about social emotional learning, um, I did talk to some of my colleagues who also had children when I heard about young Dolph passing and tragic passing, and they said that they talked to some of their students and some of their friends who had children. And initially, I couldn't relate. But one of my colleagues said this, it kind of hit home. He said, for our youth, the killing of young Dolph is compared to when Michael Jackson passed. And that hit me. I said, okay, I feel it now. I understand the pain and the grief and the sorrow that young people may feel, because I felt the same way when Michael Jackson, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, people who I won't say idolized, but people I grew up with listening to their music, and they passed, how it affected me. And so I know that the educators, we have to go in and listen to the children, be a responsible, connect with those children, build relationships, and then guide them and allow them to grieve. Let them know that it's okay, but show them and teach them how to grieve properly without retaliation. And I think our Memphis Police Department, for right now, have done an excellent job in calming our city down to a point where people can sit down at a table and talk. Because that's one of our things that I've learned with our students and our youth. With the uptick in violence and because of COVID, they've had a hard time adjusting to how to resolve conflict. And if more and more we can teach them how to resolve conflict, we can have a better city.
Okay, good deal. Brother Dr. Scott, I know you work at the headquarters building as well. And I'm sure but I see you out in the community because you're one of those persons that calls me to help pass out food or bring coke somewhere.
Exactly.
So, I don't know if that's on the shield or not, but talk to me about some of the responses you had or received from the children and the teachers who have to go face their students every day with this kind of trauma that they're living with.
From our perspective, and just in kind of engaging in those conversations, teachers and administrators are sharing with us that students just feel a great sense of loss. Not just for an individual who was a talent, but a human being, and the way that he was killed, murdered, was absolutely senseless, totally senseless, and children expressing the value that they felt this young man had by the number of he solicited local businesses. Whenever he was here, he always tried to make an impact. I think he was here, part of why he was here was planning and getting ready to actually pass out turkeys for Thanksgiving. So just people just sharing with us, unreal, and just trying to comfort those students and letting them know that everything is going to be all right. As you well know, we had an incident that happened at Cummings several weeks ago where a young boy was shot. And so, but just trying to reassure our young people that everything is going to be all right, trust and believe in authorities, that they're going to find out who's responsible and take the appropriate action. But really trying to undergird and support those young people, listening to them, being present there for them, and just encouraging them to do the right thing.
Brother Hart, you raised something with me when you talk about how I felt or we felt when Michael Jackson or Prince or Whitney Houston or all those persons that we grew up listening to their music passed away so tragically. Now I can relate to that. But my question to you all as educators first, how do you continue to inspire these young people when they see some of the people that they grow up with getting killed tragically, and they live in the conditions that they live in and we live in here in Memphis, to continue to go on and fight on? How do you push them forward? And then secondly, how do you get up every morning to push yourself forward when you see so much despair and so much grief in their eyes every day? How do you do that?
Well, I'll from my perspective, for me, it's just my faith. As I would call myself a seasoned believer in God, that I understand that negative things are going to happen because God did not promise us that everything was going to be easy here on earth. And so for me, it's about reading on a daily basis. It's about taking time for myself and making sure I pour back into myself. And that's just for me personally, to rejuvenate, to rededicate, working out, that type of thing. One of the things that we're trying to do now, and I've shared with you earlier, is we're trying to build a program with Shelby County Schools where we will provide mentors for middle school students and mentors from all walks of life that will come in and have lunch a couple of days a month and communicate and reinforce to these young people that they can be successful in life, and encourage them and really try to support them and serve as a role model here with those young people. So we're hopeful that that is a program that will begin to manifest, encourage better grades, encourage attendance, and encourage a greater self-esteem, provide emotional support for those young people as they go through their daily lives. Because if you look at the numbers within our schools, we've got over 110,000 students. More than 63,000 of those students are considered, those families that are in our schools are considered economically disadvantaged. So we try to provide the support, undergird those individuals so they can be successful.
Okay. Brother Hart, you got something you want to add to that?
Yes, sir. My motto is always, if I can save one. I know I can't save them all, but if each one tried to save one, that's one that we have not lost. And that has been something that I strive and when I talk to young men, especially when I mentor young men or have an opportunity to go into schools. Even when I was a teacher, I knew I come in and try to save them all, but I know that even if I'm able to save one and give them some hope and a future, and just embark on some of the principles that was instilled in me by my father, by my community, by my family members. If I can do it for one person, then I feel that I've done my best. And when you talked about how because I deal with the individuals who are about to be kicked out of school or expelled from school. And so I hear all those cases of the kicking elementary student or the rape charge or the student who comes in school with a big gang fight who brings guns on campus. And I have to hear, as one of 11 district hearing authorities, I have to hear both cases and try to align this with policy. And so you asked me, how do I make it throughout the day when I hear so many negative stories? And one thing I do is my faith, is that I have my faith in God and pray, but my family is so important to me. You know, when all's said and done, when I can come home to my two little girls and my lovely wife, and I can call my son and hear their voice, that kind of rejuvenates me and help me to make it on. And also because I deal with so much and hear so much throughout the district, having the opportunity to mentor to young men, to bring some light into their life, into their family, it does me well. And so those are some of the items and the things that continues to kind of align me and help me make it from day to day to day.
Thank you. Brother Jones, yesterday we saw our elected officials call for curfews, called for all elected officials to come together for a meeting. You know, during these times, it's typical that elected officials get to the mic and start saying things that they think they ought to say as a response to the hurt of the people. Talk to us about what government is doing right now with regards to the homicide rate. And I know you're on the county commission, and a lot of this in the city, and we got legislators over there, but I'm sure because you're in code enforcement and leadership there, you get it. Share with us what government is trying to do now to assist in these homicides, to resolve this gun issues in our community, and how our community can deal with what we're facing with today.
Well, let me start with where you started out. As an elected official, I do think there are times that elected officials should actually step up and say something. But in this particular matter here, was tragic that happened out in the community. But here's what I would say. We've known that these numbers have been going up for a while, and we should have been doing something placating to that. What threw us for a bigger loop was what the state did when they passed hey, you don't need a permit to carry a firearm. So that just made it open season that everybody now, they probably would have left their weapons at the house, but now, hey, it's open carry season. It's free. I don't need a permit to do it. But one of the biggest things that it does is, I think the people the only thing that they heard, I don't need a permit to carry. What they did not read was, well, if you had some previous misdemeanor charges in certain misdemeanor areas, and you got caught carrying a firearm without a permit, that misdemeanor just got elevated to a Class E felon. Let's talk about what that does. Well, if I'm a felon now I cannot vote. And so these are the kinds of things that elected officials are having to deal with right now. More people are bringing their weapons out of the houses, leaving them in their cars. We're having more break-ins in vehicles. And if you get caught with a stolen firearm, the penalties are even more severe. So what I would say to those that are out there, hey, if you don't have a permit, please don't open carry. And especially if you have something in your background that could land you in prison and make it become a felony. Now, to your point about what we're doing, we have been putting funds, giving it to our sheriff to do what they need to do. We've been supportive of MPD and what they're doing. But this has been a crazy year as it relates to that. And just when you think you may be on the right path, then something else pops up. And so it's just been one of those back and forth things that is happening at the state level that rolls down to the local level. So there's a lot of violence and killing that is happening right here in our backyard. And so, hey, we got to find the funding. We got to build it into our budgets. We got to come up with programs and deal with it. A lot of this took place when COVID, when everybody was quarantined and inside, you could not go anywhere, couldn't do much of anything. And now we let them out. And then when we let them out, you put all these other elements in place. Hey, when you come out, bring your firearms with you. So there's a whole lot of issues that are going on that we have to deal with. But the biggest one, and I think Brother Scott and Brother Hart, they understand this quite well. The social emotional learning and loss that we've had, mental health issues with our children. We have pumped millions of dollars into different programs as it relates to mental health and wellness of our children and the community as a whole. As you know, we got $182 million to pump back into the community that came from President Biden and the opera funds. We are utilizing those funds to take care of a lot of the problems that COVID brought and what was passed down from the state of Tennessee by law.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Let me ask, and this question can be for any of you. You know, the fraternity does a great job of promoting its national programs. And many of us have now seen our century marks pass by. So we've been, you know, the fraternity was founded in 1914. So, you know, we're now 108 or so years old, 109, I forget the number. But if we don't do something as a fraternity, do you think we'll be here for another 109, 180, 50 years, 60 years with the kind of laws that are being passed for folk to carry weapons? Where would the fraternity get its members from? If there are no African-American men or men, period, because we're not all African-American, no, but men, period, in college. What is the fraternity trying to do to slow that tide down? Does any of you have any idea? And maybe I should go to Brother Scott, because you're in the Distinguished Service Chapter and you all have a special program going on or whatever, but has the fraternity thought about those kinds of things in the future?
To be honest with you, at this point in time, there are a number of things that the fraternity is looking at. I know, you know, with the new reshaping of our national headquarters, making it more of a community development piece. So from a social action standpoint, the fraternity has always been clear in terms of being active in certain programs. I think for a long-term answer for us is being more involved and more entrenched in our Sigma Beta Club and really mentoring these young men at an early age and staying with them. But to answer your question, that is a very hard question to answer, Brother Collins, in terms of, 50, 100 years from now, where will we be if we continue at this rate? That's a very difficult answer. Hopefully, as Phi Beta Sigma has done over the years, we'll be at the forefront trying to resolve some of these issues and lobbying our political electors to move in a certain direction. So, but that's a very difficult question to answer, and it's a very good one, to be quite frank and honest with you, to really think about that long term.
Okay. I think we got about maybe 10 more minutes left in our program. And I want to talk about two high profile cases that are going on, one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the other one is near Albany, Georgia. The Kyle Rittenhouse case, where a 18-year-old, now then 17-year-old male white walks down the street with an AR-15 assault rifle and kills two people and shoots a third, and he's on trial for murder. And the jury has been out now 3 days weighing his guilt or innocence. And then in Southern Georgia, 3 white men are on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery, as thinking that he was robbing or stealing from their homes. And both of those cases are getting high profile cases. How does all of this, with the backdrop of what we see every day in Memphis, Tennessee, affect how African-American boys are thinking about their future, and African-American girls as well, thinking about their future as adults growing up in our country? What does that make you think? Brother Jones, I'm gonna start with you, because I'm sure you're aware of these things, and as the president of the Black County elected officials, I'm sure that has come across your desk numerous times. Talk to me about what your agency is doing or thinking about as these cases evolve.
Well, we hadn't gotten into deep conversation about those particular 2 cases because I represent an organization that is all 50 states, and believe it or not, other cities are facing the same traumas that we're facing right here. And so we generally collaborate on that level and try to come up with different ways to address those issues. But this right here and what you were seeing years ago, you didn't have all the cameras in the courtroom, so we never really knew what went on and so all of the complaints about criminal justice reform, now it's on TV and you can see it live and in person. And you can see that there's a difference in people of color and Caucasian people. They seem to get, well, he may not have meant to do that, but it is clear, it's on tape, it's on video, you can see it plain as day, selfless killings, no different than what we witnessed yesterday here. But I can guarantee you, you got video footage and all of that. They catch those 2 because they're people of color. Jury probably would have been out 30 minutes, came back with a guilty plea. That's why I think if we're going to talk about anything, we need to talk about equity in the justice system, that everybody is treated equal. regardless of the crime that you commit, but we all should be treated equal. And you just don't see that now. And so if it's anything that we're going to work on, that's what we need to be working on. And we need to do that on a national level as well as a local level, so that we can bring parity across the board that will support justice and justice for all in an equal and fair manner.
Okay. Brother Hart, you serve as one of the district's disciplinarians on infractions. My question to you is, when an individual comes in your office and you read the file and that individual looks at you and go, well, you know, other folk getting away with what I've done. What is that? How does that make you feel? What does that look like to you? What kind of predicament are you faced with then when you see the backdrop of what we see across the country, and then you see, and I'm gonna be clear about this, the majority of the people I'm sure you handle are African-American boys. So how does that affect you and your job, and what answer responses do you give to these young boys when they talk to you about these things?
And that's a loaded question. I don't know if I can have the correct answer, because a lot of times, even when I was in the school system serving as an administrator, I would always hear, well, you're a black man, so you should understand that, you know, and it may have been an infraction from a child, maybe in a fight, or it may have been stealing something or bringing a weapon, and then I get that, you know, that pressure, that feedback of, well, you're a black man, you ought to understand. And yes, we do understand, but there's, just like the law, we have to uphold policy. And so I can't get away from upholding policy. But, you know, we are teaching, we talked about social emotional learning, we talked about, and so we're teaching restoration and finding a way to restore the individual and repairing the harm that the individual have done. And so we are communicating this to our principals to find other ways, long as not a category A offense, you know, not bringing weapon, not bringing drugs, not aggravated assault against a faculty member. But if there's any minor offenses, let's see what other type of interventions that we can do. Cafeteria duty, after school tutoring. I think some schools have Saturday tutoring, in school suspension, things that would keep them in school, still build them up, hold them accountable, but also support them in their effort. And so that's what we, you know, that's kind of my task, and what Dr. Ray, who's our superintendent, has charged us as a district to be more restorative. And I know that's hard because of the pandemic and everything we've been through, and all the things that Brother Jones mentioned about these young men are coming back with all of these guns, and it's hard to be restored. But if we can see through all of these exclusionary consequences and find a reason why, find a way that we can restore them, that's what my charge is, to try to reduce being removed from the seat from a suspension or an expulsion.
Okay, thank you. Brother Scott, I consider you being in the helping business at Shelby County Schools, because you're always finding ways to assist and help families and children. And so with the backdrop of what we've seen the last 24 hours, the last 3 weeks with this Rittenhouse case and the McMichael's cases in Georgia, talk to us about your work with Shelby County Schools and still seeing the need to support these families the way your department does, and what effect does that have on you?
The work that I do, to be quite frank and honest with you, is something that I enjoy. I look forward to going to work every day because we're trying to support our school administrators and our teachers and our students and ultimately our families. My thought process is very simple. If we have an impact on the students, that means that at some point in time, we're going to have an impact on the families as well. And we try to move people from, first and foremost, it doesn't matter where you're at, that's where we're going to meet you. And so you don't have to come to us, or we're not coming to you with this preconceived idea of you should be here versus there. So it's the type of work that we enjoy every day, providing those resources. But I do want to go back and reflect on my days as a conduct administrator at the University of Memphis. And so as Brother Hart was sharing, sometimes it is a difficult situation. But one of the things that I tried to do in that office is made sure that when I had conversations with young people, especially African-American males, we are dealing with your behavior, not you as a person. You have an opportunity to improve your behavior. And one of the things that I had at my disposal at the university level, we could refer students out for mental health concerns. And so that was one of the things that we tried to do. So I never wanted you to come in my office, and I was very particular and specific about the verbiage, the words that I use, because you were not going to walk in my office and leave broken. You were going to walk in my office knowing that we held you responsible, that we followed policy, but if that policy provided some leeway, then we would, in instances where we would give that leeway. And we would make decisions that would put you in a better place moving forward, put educational sanctions in place that will leave you in a better place, maybe requiring you to do community service, maybe requiring you to do an assessment with psychological services, requiring you to work at a specific place to do specific things. So, but really trying to rebuild and really support those students as they move through, because the last thing I wanted to do was suspend you from an institution. Now, there's some things that we didn't have a choice about, as Brother Hart shared, but when it was not something that was suspendable, we were going to have a conversation. So you weren't walking in my office and walking right back out. We were going to have a deep dive and a conversation to make sure we were on the same page and what the expectations were moving forward, talking about how you're a role model, how others are looking at you, so on and so forth, making sure those young people knew what was at hand as they came through my particular office.
Okay, good deal. Gentlemen, we are about a minute and a half out from our end. I want to thank all three of you for coming on tonight and sharing your expertise and what you do. Again, I want to thank Brother Dr. Scott and Brother Hart for your service with the 27th Annual African American Male Image Awards Banquet. And congratulations to all of the honorees. Brother Jones, we look forward to seeing you on Saturday to receive your award. Again, Brother Dr. Scott, is this black tie, semi-formal, or what's the attire? So I can make sure my wife will have to go out and buy something new, you know.
Semi-formal.
Okay. All right, so that means she can wear something already in the closet.
She can.
Y'all know the drill. You know the drill. And again, it's at 5. Let me ask this: is it going to be an opportunity for it to be live streamed on the Sigma Memphis platforms? Are we having that capability or anything?
We talked about having that capability. Brother President had indicated that he was going to try to provide that service for us while we were at the banquet. And so, so we look forward to it.
Okay, good. All right, that's a good deal. If we can get a live stream, that'll be great. We can all share it on our own social platforms. Brother Jones, any last remarks or comments you'd like to make before we sign off?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on as one of the panelists in this very much needed conversation about where we are today in our world, what we're dealing with, and what the men of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated is doing out in the community and in the various jobs that they serve in that touch a lot of families that we deal with. Brother Scott, Brother Hart, Brother Collins, and all of my Sigma brothers. We do a lot of work in the community that touches a lot of people. I want to tell each and every one of you, thank you for the service that you give and the commitment to supporting the community and making it a better place to live, work, and play right here in Shelby County. And so with that being said, Brother Collins, I might have to go and get something new too. So while y'all up here talking it up, y'all taking money out of my pocket again. Here we go, but absolutely. So semi-formal, I got it.
You'll be all right, Brother Jones. I know you got plenty in your closet. Brother Hart, any last words on this comment or this platform that we talked about? And I learned something today from you. I didn't know that you served in that role. That's got to be one of the most trying times of any Black man to have, is be the disciplinarian for Shelby County Schools. So any other parting words that you'd like to share?
Only parting words I would have is just, I would tell the viewing audience, watch your children, love on your children. And if you find a young man or a young lady that's not yours, just speak to them. Just check on them, ask them how they're doing. Because, you know, they're going through a lot. And sometimes we in our busy world, we forget how our world is impacting them. So anytime you can have a conversation with a youth about their future, about what they're going through presently, it will impact not only you, but it would do a world of growth in that particular young man or young lady.
Good deal. Thank you so much. Brothers and our viewers, this has been Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity's Tau Iota Sigma Chapter, or as we call it, Sigma Memphis Straight Talk, No Chaser. We thank you for tuning in and listening. We look forward to our next one in the next couple of weeks. Congratulations to all of our honorees for the 27th Annual Hobson Goodloe African American Male Image Awards, and to our scholarship recipients. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. With that, good night, everybody, and be safe. God bless you.